Hey guys, I am back in the workshop today and I've got a really cool project to share with you guys. I made this awesome jagged rusted metal pick guard out of some scrap sheet steel that I got in my local hardware store for about $6. And this is the first time I've done anything like this. I'm super proud of the results. I think it looks fantastic and it was much easier than I expected. It's just a matter of knowing the right tools to use and the right techniques to use. And even this rusted patina, I fabricated myself just using some simple household items that you probably already have laying around. So if you want to see how to do that, stick around. I'm Dan, this is Guns and Guitars. Oh, this is so much fun. Let's get started. Okay, to make this metal pick guard, I started off with this sheet of 12 by 24 inch sheet metal that I got at my local hardware store for about $6. I then took my template of my pick guard design that I made out of paper and traced it onto the sheet metal. Now to cut out our pick guard design, there are lots of different ways that you can cut sheet metal, but there actually aren't very many ways that are really good. So for example, most people would think when you're cutting sheet metal that you need some sheet metal shears. And sheet metal shears are great in that you can cut very intricate designs, right? So you can kind of peel back and forth. The problem is it's getting all bent out of whack and there's just no way that you're gonna be able to bend these pieces back the way they originally were. Another way that you can cut sheet metal is with an angle grinder. Of course, that is gonna be way too large and clunky for what we're trying to accomplish right here. So of course you could pull out a Dremel with a cutting wheel, which is a bit more intricate, but you're still not gonna get nearly as intricate designs, and it's just gonna be a lot more sloppy overall. Now something you may have never heard of, because I hadn't heard of it until recently, is you can get an attachment for your drill called a sheet metal nibbler. Okay, the cool thing about this tool is that it actually costs less than an angle grinder, a Dremel, and sheet metal shears. Believe it or not, this little attachment is only 13 bucks on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description if you guys are interested. But basically you just chuck this thing into a normal hand drill and then you can just run it through your sheet metal and cut however intricately you want. It doesn't bend the metal at all and it doesn't even actually leave super rough burrs. This is quite an amazing little tool. Now the Amazon description does say that it requires a 3000 RPM drill, and I can tell you that is absolutely not the case. Okay, my Makita drill only goes up to like 2200 RPM, I believe, and this thing still just cuts fine. I imagine the only difference is that it cuts slower than a 3000 RPM drill, but the slower speed doesn't actually affect its sheet metal cutting abilities. Now I do want to be able to use both my hands to guide the sheet metal through the nibbler. So I'm going to rig up my nibbler in a bench vise, just like this. And this isn't necessary, this is just something I did so I could have a little bit more control. Now again, so I don't have to use my hand to activate it, I'm going to use a clamp like this, and I'm just going to wrap it around the drill, and when I'm ready to turn it on, just compress it like that, and then turning it off is as easy as just loosening up the clamp. As you can see, this sheet metal nibbler attachment for my drill just cuts like butter. Seriously, there is no better tool for this job. I can't believe how well this tool works for $13. Seriously guys, treat yourself this weekend to a $13 tool, a $6 piece of sheet metal, and have some fun. I mean, come on, look how good that turned out on my first pass. Now to cut out that pickup cavity, I first had to drill a 1/2 inch hole so that I had a spot for my sheet metal nibbler to poke through. Now to get off the rough burrs and make the edges nice and smooth so you don't cut your hands on them, I first started with my Dremel tool using a grinding bit, but I soon found out that this actually isn't the best tool for the job. One, because it got away from me and left a few marks here and there. And two, I just found out that a plain metal file is actually more productive and gets smoother results than the Dremel did. And now that I've got my perfectly smooth shape with smooth edges, I'm tracing on where all my controls are going to go for drilling and cutting. Now I'm using my drill press to drill all these holes, but it's definitely not necessary. You could use a regular hand drill for this job. To cut out the slot from my pickup selector switch, I'm using my Dremel again, but this time with a reinforced cutting bit. Now you could be done after this step, but like I showed you before, I let the Dremel get away from me in a few areas, so I'm gonna have to sand out those scratches. For that job, I'm using my random orbit sander with a 220 grit sanding disc. Now this did a nice job of hiding those scratches, but it did leave sort of a glitter looking effect, which is just too pretty for what I'm looking for. Now even from the very beginning of this project, I knew that I wanted this pickguard to look beat up, rusted, and have sort of that worn out patina finish on it. So let's go ahead and do that right now. To do this, you'll need your wife's favorite towel.
That's not my favorite towel.
Your wife's favorite toilet cleaner.
That's not my favorite toilet cleaner.
And your wife's favorite steel wool.
Not my favorite steel wool.
First, just go ahead and gently rub down the surface with your steel wool. Now using this Clorox toilet bowl cleaner with bleach, bleach is the important additive that we need to make this rust. I'm going to pour on a design that I want to stain into the metal. Here what I'm trying to do is make a layered Damascus steel sort of look to match the strong wood grain of the guitar that this is going to go on. Then I'm going to let this cook out in the sun for a couple hours and come back and check on it. And after a couple hours, this is what it looks like. You can see how the bleach is starting to eat away at the metal and cause that patina look that we're going for. Now I'm going to brush off all of that gunk with some steel wool.
You bastard!
And it's still looking a little bit too pretty for what I'm going for, so I'm just going to throw some more bleach on all over the whole thing and let it cook out in the sun for a couple more hours again. Okay, and here's what it looked like after a couple more hours, so I'm just going to scrub it again with some steel wool, then wash off all of the bleach in the sink using a mild dish detergent. It's looking a little bit better, but as you can see, it's still not quite as beat up as I would like, and in fact, if you flip over and look at the back, that's kind of more the look that I'm going for. So I'm going to take what I've learned so far, add some more of that toilet bowl cleaner to my pickguard laying face down on the towel this time, and set it back out in the sun to cook for a couple hours. And this of course is what it looked like afterwards, and I'm just repeating my process of rubbing it down with steel wool, and now we've got that nice light patina effect that I'm looking for. Now it's extremely important that once you've achieved the level of rust and damage effect that you want, that you neutralize the bleach. Otherwise the salts in the bleach will continue to eat away at the metal, and what looks good today won't necessarily look good tomorrow. Now the best method I've found for neutralizing Clorox bleach is just simple baking soda mixed in with a little bit of water. This causes a chemical reaction which will neutralize the salts in the bleach and prevent the rust from spreading any further. Then of course rinse off the mixture and dry it really good. Now to prevent new rust from forming and create a nice sticky base for our clear coat to stick to, we're going to put on some of this Flood Penetrol. Now we're not going to be using this stuff for its original purpose. It's actually a paint additive used to reduce brush and roller marks as paint dries. However, I've read on Pinterest that people use this stuff to preserve the perfect rust patina while preventing new rust from forming. The only downside is that it doesn't offer any protection against scratches, and since this is indeed a pickguard, we're going to need to add another clear coat on top to prevent more scratching. So for the top coat, I'm just going to use this Minwax spray-on polyurethane. I'm using the clear satin finish, so it's just perfect. I sprayed this stuff on, and it gave me the exact satin finish that I am going for with this build. So here I have my finished metal pickguard, and I think that looks pretty awesome. Some of you guys might be thinking that this other side might have turned out a little bit better because it definitely looks a little bit more beat up and rusted, kind of a James Trussart sort of effect. And I think for a jet black body like this, that does look a lot better, but this body is not going to stay jet black. Check out this new finish that I am working on right here. If you want to see how I did this finish, I filled in the wood grain with a nice contrasting silver color, then check out that video right there. I'm gonna have it uploaded next week. But now, look at this pickguard. This is the exact look that I was going for. I mean, watch, flip it over on this side, and it just doesn't quite have the same look and feel to it. So watch that next video to see how this is done, and I will see you in that next video.